Mr. Gharagulyan, the floor is yours. I would like also to thank for this excellent opportunity. Irrespective of the discussion, I would like to advise reading this article. A number of questions that are still waiting to be responded, and a number of realities taking place in our public life nowadays. So when after reading this article, these aspects now are revealed to me in a new light, and Michael Lynch is proposing a number of aspects which will be very important to everyone. It is not quite an extensive article. It is only 13 pages in volume and very interesting to read. It might sound strange, but I really had fun in putting up and preparing this presentation because this is an engaging and very relevant topic. I also tried to apply some humor to this problem, which is actually quite a deep question and needs to be understood. I would like to thank Professor Mike Lynch for having the time and joining us. I think especially during question and answer session, there might be questions about the topic which maybe are not directly presented in the article, but we can kind of evolve and maybe he might be in a better position to respond. So coming back to the topic, we can say that we have in social and political science a large spectrum of research which can be called the interrelation between power and morality. There are a number of research reports in this sphere. The key aspect related to this with regard to epistemology, I speak about lying, deception. I generally talk to my students telling that there are professional liars. And among the professional liars, unfortunately, or maybe life is the way it is, there is quite a big share of politicians. Therefore, the main question we can present in connection with the article is that in which cases and for what the politicians are deceiving and presenting lies. The explanation might seem that they are lying because in a given situation they want to have outcomes desirable for them. So the article tries to show to us the kitchen of these political falsehoods and what consequences and what implications it might have for the modern democracies. Let me tell you in the first place that when translating the article, we had some problems with terminology. Maybe our political thought is not mature enough, or maybe we have not touched this topic. The main problem was how to translate into Armenian the word bold-faced lies. Sometimes we disagree and argue with Arshak on the translation of this topic. Arshak, as the person who is preparing the announcement text of the event, he would write in the announcement text whatever he wants, and I will present the way I deem it more appropriate. So here we have the participants are stakeholders in the field. I would like you also to be a part of it. I will now present to you two slides, conditional ones. I would like conventional slides. Explaining two situations, and I would like to get your feedback. This is the kid has had the cookie, but he says, I haven't eaten the cookies. This is a baby. This is, we may say that he is afraid to be punished. This is an innocent child. And the second example, which is discussed more granularly by Mr. Lynch in his article, is the following. Imagine two people standing in the bus stop talking about rain. It's raining heavily, and the other guy is telling it's not raining today. No matter what the argument of the peer interlocutor is, it says it's not raining. So let's discuss how we would qualify this type of utterances. So are you thinking about it? There are no options about it. Arshak, yes, we are really facing a challenge. I was thinking that there would be a number of options about the translation, but people seem to be giving quite a thought to it. Now they are giving different options in Armenian. So what is Mr. Lynch's approach to this? We need to take into consideration two close categories. In English, it's quite clear. One is obvious falsehood and bold-faced lie. My approach was to use in the Armenian the word impudent. Ashak was proposing to use the word open or explicit or overt lie. So we may assume that this is a conventional option. We didn't want to use the word impudent in the sense that during the recent war and following post-war, these impudent lies are more addressed to particular political addressees. That's why we decided to avoid this word. So when do we use the word overt lie? When I make a judgment proposition that is overtly false, or because we do have weighty or solid evidence which are available to the public and are evident. So I don't need to invest a lot of effort to do research, to do inquiries, to conduct interviews with experts, to be able to obtain this evidence. I don't need to be an expert in the field with solid knowledge to be able to reason about the truth. So these are so obvious, so overt, so accessible that without additional physical or cognitive efforts, I may refer to this counter evidence and prove and show that this or that proposition is false. At the same time, a proposition might be an overt or obvious lie or false, but still one more step is needed for us to categorize it as bold-faced falsehood, because maybe I'm just talking nonsense. Because, coming back to the situation in the bus stop, you are talking to someone, what the weather, it's raining, is telling no rain, there is no rain. So what should be our judgment? What do we think? We think maybe this is an irony. This is some ionic position because it is really apparent that it's raining. Or it is a creepy lie, creepy joke, or maybe this person is in in kind of has some extreme feelings or emotions. There might be different problems behind it. So in order to differentiate these two aspects from each other, Mr. Lynch is suggesting one more provision, that the interlocutor or speaker believes in the truth of what he says. I may make a claim, a proposition, but I'm not quite sure in it. But whenever I make a proposition and at the same time I'm confident in the falsehood of what I say, this level is qualified as bold-faced lie or bold-faced falsehood. Here in this, I have brought several examples. We have taken the child's example. He has eaten the chocolate is all over his face, but he is insisting and claiming stubbornly that he has not taken it. He is afraid of punishment, maybe. The second photograph is more symbolic. This might be quite relevant to oppressive societies where it's common to speak about some aspects and to keep silence about other matters. And this photograph of Stalin with this heart, it's quite a proxy of what is happening in oppressive society. And given the history, it would be really funny to believe in this photograph. The next one is quite an interesting phenomenon to study. There is quite a community of people who believe that the earth is flat. They are trying to present it in different events, trying to devise some equipment or devices. So a question arises here. What are the motives behind these actions? On the one hand, we may assume that the child has eaten the chocolate. It's not a big deal. Stalin times are behind us. We are now moving forward, and it seems that no oppressive kind of political order is awaiting us. And flat Earth, these are some loopy persons, and we can really be quite lenient towards this. But when we speak at personal level, maybe it's not quite visible. The moment we move these issues to the political level, where the key category is the political bold-faced lie or political overt falsehoods. So what does it mean to us then? Let's look into the next slide. The example of Trump is not arbitrary. Mr. Lynch is constantly referring to Trump as an example. No matter how far we are from US, and no matter, despite the fact that the life, the turmoils in the US political life doesn't apply to us, Trump is quite a vivid and intriguing figure, and he is using quite political, bold-faced falsehood or lies, telling that the climate map has not changed, which it has apparently changed. You may know that during Trump administration, US left the Paris Agreement community. But Trump mentioned that this is climate change is not a real threat. Climate has always been changeable, so we need to focus more on our U.S. affairs. So here we have a number of problems that are refuted, and he had a lot of problems with, and investigations were opened up with regard to his Twitter posts because of the mismatches and contradictions. So in our country also, we would definitely find similar examples when a statement is made and a counter statement or another statement contradicting the previous one is made again. So in this post-war and pre-election situation, we see many such examples when there are political rallies held. And we see that the political party organizing the political rally are really telling that they had like they would increase the number of participants. Unfortunately, when there are apparent video materials confirming the real number of participants. So in case of the child, he simply lied in order to avoid punishment. But in case of political aspect, what is driving or what is the motive of a political uh, actor to make such bold-faced claim? And we have one reality, but I am giving quite an opposition to it. So I don't want to go into the details because I also have some limitation in time. So the structure of the article is as follows, that first an attempt is made to analyze the existing perspectives. The first example is that is deception. When do we generally lie? When we want to deceive someone or to compel someone to act otherwise than he would have acted in a normal situation, something that is in our interest. We falsify something, we distort something with the expectation of others to act in our interest. The problem here is that even lie has some code of behavior. For example, if I'm telling a lie, if I'm there uh, to persuade Arshak that I do need money, all my family members are sick, the bomb distracted my home, I need to persuade Arshak to believe that I'm telling the truth and not to doubt in what I say. Therefore, I need to represent myself as um, as someone who is telling the truth. Sometimes when the politicians talk, I don't straightforwardly believe them from the perspective of reasoning. The second one, in modern societies, given the modern technologies, there are new ways of methods of deception. If the people in power would like to manipulate the society, the political bold-faced lies are weak because they can create informational mess and to disorient the public. In this sense, the argument that this is simply done for deception is really a weak utterance. The next perspective is that here I'm not persuading, but I am telling a proposition, and I am expressing myself. In this case, this is self-expression of emotions, of thinking, ideas. The article has quite an engaging approach based on Jason Stanley's idea. Having studied the US society, it says that skepticism has reached such levels that the public doesn't expect anything truthful from the politicians. So would the politicians be able to express their concepts, ideologies in a more convincing way? In case of Trump, he was expressing ideas which, from the perspective of critical thinking, are absurd, are contradicting and unreliable. The post-electoral developments showed that any utterance by the Trump are welcome by his followers. So expression of emotions is has quite a small share in it, in the falsehoods. And the political bold-faced lies are specific utterances connected with specific, to confirm or to refute specific facts. The next one, political bold-faced falsehoods are contempt, demonstrating contempt for truth. And this is a demonstration and reiteration of one's own power. Very impressively, the article gives an example of a football game when someone is going beyond the bounds of the field. The referee is whistling, but the football player says, "No, I am in the bounds. I didn't break any rules." In a normal situation, the game would have been stopped. But imagine this same football player is also the owner of the football playground. The whole system depends on him, and he may give himself the discretion to claim that he was in the bounds of the playground. So he shows that the fact that he may violate the rule is and weighs much more than the rule itself. So the referee is whistling, the player continues the game. Imagine the situation. From behind, we have this the followers of the team at this particular team saying that no, he was within the bounds. Even if he went beyond the bounds, it was a minor mistake. The game must go on. So in this particular case, the rival team would try to make its own violations, and it may end in a duel between these two meetings. So contempt for truth at the level of this political bold-faced falsehood is demonstrated in three ways. One is contempt for our social and epistemological principles. So I believe in my perception is reliable. So if something is happening, I think that it has happened in reality. Arshak is telling me, for example, that you need to do this way. So I accept that Arshak has told me this, and I believe in my perception. So we have some relation between each other. We have some rules in a particular sector. And if the expert's opinion needs to prioritize over the opinion of a regular citizen. So if this is the topic we're going to discuss, I would be more happy to listen to the opinion of a specialist rather than a regular person. A reporter should check the source with sources. Teachers need to use reliable textbooks. Investigators need to put up the formulate the charge based on reliable evidence. If the judge has some conflict of interest in a case, he should withdraw himself from the hearing. So these falsehoods come to demonstrate contempt for all these fundamental principles. In a football game, there are rules which are should be common to everyone. But in this particular case, our footballer violated the rule, breached the rules, saying that we will continue the game, but no other person is entitled to breach the game. So I remember the cattle farm proposed by Orwell came to my mind because through this political bold-faced falsehood, of course it says you can follow the truths, but this doesn't relate to me. One of my friends were telling me that he saw a driver who was incompliant, and he would tell you were the ones who did the velvet revolution with Nicole, so you comply. I am not complying. So this guy is not stupid. The rules are for the society, but the model shows that he is standing higher than this general society as such, or social construct as such. So the whole social and philosophical idea of truth is being neglected. In terms of value system, what should be prioritized? In this sense, when the political leader is telling bold-faced lie, what does it tell us? There might be some truth. There might be some truth, but my power, my administration is much more important, is much more powerful than the integrity of all the rules you know. So this type of approaches are catastrophic for democracy because if I start thinking like that, it means that there are no rules written for me because I can claim anything I would like to claim. This creates epistemological arrogance and infallibility of the leader because the leader says, whatever I claim is true because I have no chance or I'm not falsible. So this creates destruction. This brings to destruction of social constructs. Another example from Orwell's 1984, the hero was being tortured to tell that 2 multiplied by 2 is 5, not 4. This means that this is there are higher instances, there are higher powers, which is much more than the deep value based on which the whole society is built. And last snapshot from today, maybe it might be strange to Mr. Lynch during 44-day that happened in Armenia in September. We were very amazed and surprised to see how the Azerbaijani politicians were telling these bold-faced lies and falsehoods led by their president. We were amazed to think whether they are so primitive, they are so stupid. But after reading this article, it gave us an insight into it. For example, we have video materials that a chemical weapon was used and mass killing missiles were used. There are evidence of it. There are video materials of it. but the Azerbaijani political circles continue refuting it. And the Azerbaijani president was showing this particular rules, telling that no matter how much evidence you have, I'm standing above all this. Also, on the example of football game, when you win in a football game, and if you see that your team is so strong that they can break the rule and still win, this is kind of bringing some encouragements to the society. It is something to be discussed later, to be discussed in more detail. I seem to be fitting in the time given to me. Thank you. And now I think the floor will be given to questions and answers.